You're listening to the PRO Media Network, the next level in entertainment.
Who that family? Check out the Pro Shop. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform stores where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who That Too.
For all things Pelicans, now tuned into the Pelican post-game report on the PRO Media Network. What's going on, fam? Pelican post-game report coming at you. Special Pelican post-game report coming at you on this Monday night. I know it's a surprise stream to a lot of the family members, but welcome aboard to the latest installment of the Pelican Post-Game Report Special Edition. Big ups to all our Pelican family members in the chat. Much love to all you guys, Brother Jamal, Kevin, DJ, Unique View, Pelicans, Nola, GM Kev, and all the family members. Welcome in to this episode of the Pelican Post-Game Report, as we will be covering Stan Van Gundy's press conference. We got the vice president of the Pel business, Griffin's in the business. We'll hear from him first and foremost before we get to SVG. But also we have a few news notes and items we'll drop upon you as well after we get through that, as well as the latest signings of the Pelicans as Ingram makes it official and inks his deal with the team. So it's official. Also the signing of Kira Lewis Jr., sporting a number 13 jersey as representative where he was picked in the NBA draft, looking pretty splither in his number 13 uni, and he's in the building. So it's official with both those guys. SVG talking big things. So we'll cover that in this episode. I'm Big Q chiming in. We'll bring in DC into the stream as well. DC, how you doing tonight, bro? Unmute, DC, unmute.
Yo, what it do?
All right, DC's in the building as well. Big ups to you. Thank you for joining us on this Pelican Post Game Report. Big ups to the family members as we get ready to get into this thing. I want to jump right into the show, man, and we're going to talk about some latest news, notes, and items dealing with it as it became official with Brandon Ingram today, as he made it official, and it seemed the pictures that were also, that's right, that was on the Pelicans website as well, showing him signing the deal. So it's definitely official. Officially signed his new max with the Pelicans. It was announced via Twitter, showed a picture of Ingram inking the deal and signing the max contract. So it's well-deserved. And, of course, 158.25 over 5 years is what it is. And we already broke down the particulars in terms of annual, what it looks like. But Ingram, man, sky's the limit for his talent. Coming off almost a 24-point per game performance last season, 6.1 rebounds, 4 assists. He was 46% shooting from the field, 39 from downtown, 85% free throw guy in 62 games, over 34 minutes of action. Just 23 years old, first-time All-Star. Sky's the limit. And he realized his potential in New Orleans, and it will keep realizing his potential as the Pelicans continue to build. Also, Pelicans signed Kira Lewis Jr. to his rookie contract today, as announced via press release by the Pelicans. He was a sophomore at Alabama in 2019. 20 years old, Lewis averaged a team-high 18.5 points per game to go along with 5.2 assists, with just under 5 rebounds per contest, just under 2 steals per game in 31 games, 37.6 minutes per game after leaving the Crimson Tide to enter the draft pool. Lewis became a lottery pick and was picked number 13. He would join a solid group of Pelican point guards, including Eric Bledsoe, Lonzo Ball. As the number 13 pick, he'll be in line for a 4-year contract worth $17 million, including a first-year salary of $3.64 million, just in case for those who wanted to know what time it was. Also,
congratulations, Kira and Bi.
that's right. And then, of course, another bit of news is the Pelicans just keep it shaking. Pelicans signed another player today. Gerard Uthoff agreed to a deal. The Pelicans assigned free agent forward Jared Uthoff to a 1-year contract, reports Will Guillory of The Athletic. It's a minimum salary deal, which is non-guaranteed. Now, Uthoff is 27. He's played for a handful of teams in the NBA and the G League since going undrafted in 2016, as well as spending a stint in Russia from 2018 to 2019. Last season, he signed a 10-day contract with the Grizzlies in February, then joined the Wizards as a substitute player during the summer restart. Although Uthoff only got into 7 NBA games in 2019-2020. He had a big year in the G League. He averaged 19 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, 3.1 assists per game, and he had a shooting line of 49% from the field, 37% from the three-point line, and 79% from the free throw line in 34 games. 35 minutes per game for the Memphis Hustle. He was named to the All-NBA G League First League team. Uthoff is probably unlikely to make the Pelicans roster, but the team doesn't have a full 15-man squad of guaranteed salary, so the door is definitely is open for him to make a mark on the team. So impressive numbers. The kid's a hustle guy as well. And, of course, the Pelicans also officially announced the signings of the previous reported deals, which was the signing of Willie Hernan Gomez and Wayne Gabriel were officially announced by the team as well. So the Pelicans getting ready for the December start and getting things going. Now, DC, before we go ahead into this thing, go ahead and break down and tell me what you think about some of those stories right quick.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, like I told you before, Big Q, I'm a little concerned for Nicolo Millie. We keep getting power forwards, Q. They ain't trying to replace Zion. So what are we getting all these forwards for? And they all just happen to be able to shoot. Every forward we done signed can shoot. Other than I guess Wayne Gabriel, but he kind of a little hybrid guy. But Jared Uthoff, if he ain't just a camp body, it's obvious to me that they're looking for a similar guy in the mold of Millie, man, with a lot of these last signings we've done, man. I'm a little concerned for Millie. I don't know. Maybe he don't fit the timeline. You know, he is 29. So we just got Steven Adams, who's 27. You done got rid of Drew Holiday. You got Eric Bledsoe, probably be the oldest guy on the team other than JJ Redick. And then you got Millie right there, man. And he signed a very short contract for a rookie deal. So I think his contract might actually be up this year, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know about Millie, Q.
Yeah, you might have a point with that one, DC. I mean, you got a new coach coming in here, man, and he's trying to see who fits the system. And the type of players that he's bringing in, these are hustle players, man. I mean, these are guys that will bust their ass for you. I mean, you're talking about a guy like Wayne Gabriel. You're talking about a guy like Steven Adams. You're talking about hustlers like this. Even the kid, the two-way player, Najee Marshall. I mean, this dude is a hustler. These guys have a never say die mentality. Even if you look at Eric Bledsoe, you can look at him and see that he is a guy.
Why that man a bleeding so, Big Q?
That's what it is. That's what it breaks down to. Bledsoe, it's bleeding sore. Look it up. But anyway, it's not a very nice sounding name, Bledsoe, but it's bleeding sore. But anyway, listen, we're gonna keep it going. But Eric Bledsoe, man, he's a guy, Eric Bledsoe. Let's just, I'm just messing with the brother. But Eric Bledsoe is a guy that's a physical point guard. They call him Little LeBron because he's very physical, very tough. He can knock down the three-pointer. He's known for tough defense. He can also facilitate the ball as well. So he's not a guy that you're going to just bully around. And it's a certain type of toughness that Van Gundy and might as well say David Griffin are pushing for. And these signings, these are tough players, man. Even Hernan Gomez, the 7-footer, he's a physical guy who does have a touch on him. And like you mentioned, him and Steven Adams been working out, correct? DC, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here, brother. That's correct. They mentioned in the presser, which we're going to hear in a little minute, that Steven Adams is already trying to show Willie some of the ropes, man. I thought that was amazing. Like, the ink barely dry on these dudes' contract, and they already working together, trying to figure things out. A lot of people are talking about these moves, man, but we might really know what we're doing, Big Q.
I mean,
it's looking like a new hybrid version of the Warriors and Grit and Grind, wouldn't you say?
Well, you're not hanging nothing on them that's not true. If you go to the Pelicans website, they have an article that was written by one of their top writers over there, and he was saying that, and the article was titled "Pelicans' primary offseason objective was to add grit, toughness, ferociousness. Mm-hmm. They wanted ferocious competitors. So when you added Steven Adams, you add Eric Bledsoe, you add Hernan Gomez, who does have a mean streak in him. You add a Wayne Gabriel, who's a hustle player extraordinary, can guard 3 positions. I mean, these guys are that definitely fits the bill, along with guys like Josh Hart. I mean, are you kidding me? Zion and the rest of them, Brandon Ingram, the mentality. So I love it, and that's what kind of stuff, the grit term. I've often thought about it, DC, if we can salvage or have some of a Memphis grit and grind mentality and mix it with a little Warriors mentality, I think the world ain't ready for that, bro.
I think that's exactly what we've done, brother. Like you got baby KD, you got Zion, who can be a mix of Zach Randall and Draymond Green, whatever the hell you want to call him. You got Lonzo, who could be a poor man Steph Curry. I mean, he's shooting 38%. I'm pretty sure he's about to start running off of screens and pin downs and all of that type of stuff this year. That's what it sounds like Stan Van Gundy's doing. Missing Klay Thompson. I can't say that. But Bledsoe would damn sure be a combination hybrid between Tony Allen and Michael Conley. Maybe not as good of a shooter, but you get the point. We building something similar to that. They're taking aspects of the game that they know can work, which is that 3-ball, wanting to be able to do that, also being able to play fast, also having the strength and numbers mentality. And, that's a lot of the Warriors characteristics. And then you look at Grit and Grind, and both of those were #1 defensive teams. And we all know what Grit and Grind was about. This is the lunch pail game, tenacity and nastiness. That's what they played with. And I think it's an excellent thing. It's like we're trying to balance the line between finesse and physicality. So this is very interesting what the Pelicans are trying to do here. And it's a very young team, so they could definitely grow into this identity and create something of their own.
I love it, man. I'll tell you no difference, man. I really do. I like it a lot. And let me give a bit.
Special, huh, bro? You feel it, huh? Something feels special.
It's definitely something, because what you're doing is you got Zion and coming to his second year. He's taken care of. You bring in Ingram, who's an all-star, young all-star. You pay him the max contract. You make him happy. You draft a guy like Kira Lewis, who comes in. You sign him as well. So the Pelicans making sure they get all their aces in the building at the same time, and there's an energy, a feeling around the building about how good the Pelicans can be. And also, don't forget that the big brother of the NBA, and talks about Silver, who runs the NBA, also has an eye on the Pelicans in terms of them being an exciting team. The Pelicans are going to be much CTV. The NBA is looking for the next star to go past LeBron. They got the eyes squared on Zion Williamson to make him the next LeBron. And, of course, that comes with preferential treatment, as you know. So we know exactly what's going on in this thing. And there's the energy around the Pelicans that has been long overdue. Stan Van Gundy, It's not my hand-picked favorite to lead this young group ahead. But listen, one thing I know about SVG is he's a winner, and he'll get this team on the right track. And perhaps a coach in the next 4 years behind him will come along as a younger coach and help move the team in a direction. But listen, I like what they're doing here, to be honest with you. And I'm glad that they're focusing on the defensive, getting Steven Adams in here, who is a guy that's going to come in here and he's going to be the ultimate defender around the paint. He's also a very good passer of the ball. I love the move. Even though people saying he can't shoot the three, we need a guy that can space the floor. Listen, the defensive element of having Adams there and stopping rim running, which has been a major problem with the Pelicans for years. This guy will protect the rim. He won't interfere with Zion Williamson balling. He will not. And if you're thinking that way, stop thinking that way. Steven Adams right now, $29.5 million according to Sport Track. Brandon Ingram, 27.2. Bledsoe right now at 6.8. Well, that's a 1 year. I think after this year, it's a trial. But also remember, family, that we could look in terms of him being moved as well. I mean, so it's not a done. Right now, he's going into the season start, but you never know. There might be a deal where you could think about moving him. Reddit's 13.3, 11. Zion's 10 million. Go ahead, DC.
You said Bledsoe is 6.8. They restructured his contract because Bledsoe was making 17 million.
6.8 is what I'm looking at right now, according to Sport Track. For Bleeding Sore, that's right. This is Sport Track.
He's restructured his contract unless Milwaukee is picking up some of his salary because Bledsoe was on the books for 17 million and 19 million next year with I think a partially guaranteed contract. Like you could let him go and lose. We would have to pay him 3 million if we just flat cut him next year instead of giving him 19.
Well, let me give you what Sport Track is saying about him.
So
right.
That's amazing, man. I like Bledsoe now. I'm excited about it at 6.8.
But let me give you the contract as what it was because he signed the deal back in when was it when he signed the deal? Well, it's a 4-year deal he signed a couple seasons ago, right? Last year,
like $72 million.
It was 7 years. It was 70 million. 4 years, 70 million. 54.5 of it's guaranteed. The annual is 17.5 in 2021. Now that's what you're thinking. It was 17.5, but Bledsoe's base salary is 6.8 while carrying a cap hit of 16.8. Now coming into the first year, 2019, it was 15.6. It's escalated to 2020, 2021 is 16.8. When 2021 to 2022, that season, it goes to 18.1. And then he has another year when he's 32. So if 31, 32, he'll be making 18 million at 31 and then 19.3 at 22 years of age, which makes me think that there's no way the Pelicans are going to pay a 31-year-old guard 18 million a year and then 19 million when he turns 32. So we know what's going to be made of that. So don't be surprised if you see a move in the season where somebody offers the Pelicans something because they feel like somebody might get hurt and they might offer the Pelicans something to take Bledsoe's contract off his hands. But currently,
I think it's one caveat where Bledsoe could hang around if the negotiations with Lonzo Ball goes left, or let's say he just doesn't play up to par this year. I think you could see him hold on to Bledsoe until Kira Lewis is, older. Coming into his own enough to be able to take over.
Or you see restructure. I don't see no restructuring here. He's going to be 31 at 18 million and 32 at 19.8. So I see them moving him, DC. That's just me.
It's partially guaranteed, Q. They could force him to restructure because they can cut ties with that contract and only owe him $3 million.
Right.
And
I
then
see that.
Now you got to go find his money. You know what I'm saying? And the odds of somebody, I guess, giving him that type of money again, depending on what he does this year. If he balls out, maybe he could get it, or you can get a trade. Or he restructures and the guy just hangs around. He is from Alabama. Your guy, Kira Lewis, was also from Alabama. That ain't that far from New Orleans. So he might actually really be excited to be here. We really don't know. I haven't heard him talk yet. So somebody like that, if you get him at the right price and he's still producing, I mean, maybe he could be around. But I did want to comment on the Steven Adams thing, man. I'm so sick of people saying he ain't going to work. Derek Favors was out there all year with Zion, and that didn't slow anything down. We had the fourth best starting lineup in the whole NBA with Derek Favors. Do you not think Steven Adams is better than Derek Favors?
No,
And he has added that corner 3 shot. For a lot of people don't know that.
he don't shoot it
He
enough.
added it. He don't shoot it enough, but he didn't add it. Maybe the offense they had structured it wasn't asked of him to do that. How do we know?
I know.
Steven Adams ain't the type of guy that's gonna complain about getting shots and getting stats. That's not who he is. If you research him and look into what he's
We
about,
need a
he
guy that
wants
can
to
shoot the
win.
3-pointer,
That's it.
and that's all we need to know. We need floor spacing so Zion Williamson can operate. We need floor spacing. I don't know what you talk about, DC. We
Well,
need floor
that's why
spacing.
we signed Utenhoff.
Utenhoff is not going to make the team,
And
DC.
Manley. Utenhoff and Manley and Hernandez. That's just why we signed those.
No. Hearn Gomez. You got to get that man.
Hearn
and
Hernandez.
I don't
Hearn
know why.
Gomez.
H Gomez. You got to get it right, bro. You got to get it right. All right, now.
Gomez.
All right, let's move on to the next section of the show. Obviously, I was being sarcastic with DC. I agree with him about that. With Steven Adams, they don't really call offensive plays for Steven Adams. All his production comes from dirty work. We all know this. Him cleaning up the glass offensively and defensively, and occasionally you might catch him with an alley-oop in there. But Steven Adams does the dirty work, and he loves it.
Sneaky assists too, man. That's another part of this game that's overlooked. I'm gonna keep telling people because when it start happening, you could say you heard it here if you didn't already know. I mean, people who've been watching Steven Adams know it ain't no secret. The dude can handle the ball, and it could be on a give and go. He can get an assist. The man threw an inbound pass all the way to Derek Schroeder to hit a game winner. Dropped it on the money. And that same pass he hit, maybe not so many game winners, he's did it time and time again. Just random plays throughout the season, throwing that same pass all the way 50 feet down the court and hitting a guy in stride, buckets. So Steven Adams got a lot of aspects to his game that may have not been highlighted at Oklahoma that people aren't aware of. And we all know he can crash the boards, and he's an elite level screener. So what's that mean? If Zion gonna play the 3, and if he gonna play the power forward, what about a double screen? That'd be crazy, like they were saying. And also, if he plays the 3, man, you got Zion could run a pick and roll with Steven Adams. What the hell you do with that?
All I could tell
what
you,
you do with that, Q?
I mean, bro, you can't do a damn thing with it but smile and clap your hands and get joyful. Act like you're in church up in here. Get some tambourines and some drums and start singing some hymns like we in church. That's what you do. All right.
If Zion Handles is good enough to do that, man, that's going to be crazy.
Big time. Big ups to the family members joining us in the Pale Chat. Much love to you. Thank you for joining us, family. Cap Man in 2020 and KB. What's up, KB? Good to see you in the chat as well with the rest of the family members as well. Thank y'all for being here for this edition of the Pelican Postgame Report, special edition, family. Glad y'all joining us for this Monday afternoon show as we covering the Stan Van Gundy press conference and more Pel talk. Now, we covered a lot of the Pelican talk. We just got you talking about the contract. Now we get to the portion of the show where we're going to play the interview from David Griffin. We'll play some of it, not all of it. We'll play a large chunk of David Griffin's thought on the Pelicans. Then we'll transition to who we really want to hear, Stan Van Gundy, his thoughts on several players and items in the mentality of the team. So here's the man who speaks with forked tongue, Vice President of Pelican basketball operations, David Griffin. Now, he's speaking with a forked tongue. He got a mask over it, but he's still a man who speaks with forked tongue. Here's David Griffin chiming in. Here we go.
Stories about rumors of players that were wanted by a franchise or franchises trying to acquire players, and most of the time that's untrue. If that was ever said about myself and Steven Adams, it's absolutely true. From the time I had a first draft meeting with him, we had lunch together when he was a prospect in the draft. He's been a player that's been very much at the forefront of my mind in terms of representing what we want our work ethic to be, what we want a team ethos to really be about. Steven's as selfless a teammate and as ferocious as a competitor as there is in the league. And we talked about it today, actually, some of the staff. Steven has a switch that he flips when he walks between the lines, and he becomes a completely different person. And walks across those lines back into living his everyday life. He's as compassionate and as caring a human being as I've ever been with. So it's got a fascinating dynamic there. and something that we're really excited about having in a position, frankly, of leadership with our team. Is he's a vocal leader. He's somebody that is a native teacher of the game. He's somebody that's already been spending time with Willie Hernan Gomez by way of example, trying to teach him some nuance that maybe Willie had never seen before. So we're excited about what Steven brings to us, both as a leader, as a playoff seasoned competitor, but mostly as a human being. Relative to Bled, I would say very similar things in terms of the playoff pedigree. He's been a very successful player. He's a two-way player that plays both ends with incredible zeal. He's a guy who, from a competitive standpoint, represents everything that we want to be about. He's just in love with the game of basketball, and he's somebody that every general manager he's been with will share. They just love the guy on a human level, and so that was meaningful to us. But everything he brings in terms of work ethic and approach to the game, again, that's the theme we were trying to bring to the table.
Hey, what's up, Griff? This is Will Guillory from The Athletic. Now that it's officially official, I guess, how important was it to lock down BI to a long-term deal? Just a big picture-wise for this franchise and the trajectory you're trying to, send this team on going forward.
Well, it just doesn't happen very often, Will, that somebody's 23 years old, they have the skill set that he has, and they're just barely scratching the surface of what they can be as a player. We talked about when we acquired Brandon in the beginning, he was something of a late bloomer. He has a body type that is really not filled out yet, and he's going to continue to do so. His work ethic, his work rate, his diligence to taking care of himself and doing the right things off the court is something that really spoke to us. But when we left the bubble, Brandon shared very plainly with Trajan and I, he doesn't intend the playoffs again in his career. And he was taking a position of leadership in this franchise. And that was very, very powerful for us in the form of a young player who represents all the things he does off the court. This is a guy who very quietly has been very compassionate, very involved in his community, giving to frontline workers in his hometown of Kinston, doing things here in New Orleans to feed the hungry. He's somebody that really represents the things that we care about. And his on the court talent is very clear and very evident. And he's just scratching the surface of who he can be. And I think the thing that might be most exciting from a basketball perspective is Brandon knows he's got a lot of room for improvement on the defensive side of the ball. And he really wanted to be pushed on that side of the ball. So I think the synergies that could exist between Brandon, the players that we've mentioned already in Bled and Steven as leaders for our group are significant. But I also think the coachability of those three as our leaders really lend themselves to Coach Van Gundy and his staff, making the kind of impact they want to as well.
Griff, Scott Kushner from the Times-Picayune. Just real quick off the top, I know this isn't really your job, but have you been given any guidance at all with regards to the arena or fans or what you have? And does that affect you guys at all? And then I have one other question after that.
Thank you, Scott. I haven't actually been involved in any of those conversations or any of those negotiations with the mayor and her people, but I know that Dennis Lauscha and the business side are working on that, and hopefully we come to a resolution that allows us to have a decent number of our fans available, because I think this is a team that's really going to speak to them, and I think fans are really going to be proud of who this group is.
And then from just a basketball perspective, this investment in Brandon Ingram obviously speaks volumes. And then you've got Zion Williamson, who's very clearly a part of the future here. How do you think that combination, under an ideal circumstance, how do you think those two pair best? Where do you kind of see them on the floor together? How do you see them, complementing each other? What's kind of, if they're going to be a foundation of this franchise going forward, what aspect of that do you look forward to the most, I guess?
Frankly, I think the human beings that they are one. I mean, it was really meaningful to me. Brandon Ingram does not have a player option in his contract, and he didn't care about that. He wanted to commit himself to this organization for 5 years, and we committed ourselves to him by giving him the trade bonus should he be traded, because it's a sign of our commitment to him that we didn't sign him to use him as anything other than a leader of our franchise. And he didn't sign to be anything other than that leader. And so we're a family here, and it's what we wanted to be. And I think Brandon understood that very clearly. So I would tell you that what I see him doing in large measure is leading this group and helping Zion through sort of the growing pains he went through at the same stage in his career. This is not an easy sport to just flip the switch and be dominant in. And I think he has the ability to help Zion navigate some of the challenges he may face. But in terms of the pairing between the two of them, the thing that excites us the most is sort of what excites us about a lot of our roster. It's the versatility there and the positionless basketball we can play. Both Zion and BI have the ability to be ball dominant and make plays for other people. Bled can do the same. Steven Adams is a terrific passer and somebody who has the ability to make the right read. So we feel like that group, the hallmark of our group is going to be that we share the ball at a really high level and we take extremely efficient shots. And because both Zion and Brandon can handle the ball in a pick and roll, they can work as a screener in a pick and roll, they can screen away and be used as cutters off the ball, and they're totally willing to do whatever needs to be done to win basketball games. Those are the types of players that if it works out and everybody stays healthy, they can be franchise caliber players on teams that advance rounds into the playoffs. And that's what we're trying to build from a sustainable success standpoint.
Hey, Griff, this is Jim Eichenhoff for Pelicans.com. I was wondering the two players that were kind of officially added to the roster today, Hernan Gomez and Gabriel. What did you like about those guys, and what made you want to bring those guys in?
Well, I feel silly. I'm going to be a little bit of a broken record, but those kids are absolutely ferocious competitors. They play the game the right way. They play the game to win. They both have incredible upside as players. They're both very young, but they've been about the right things. And Wenyen, by way of example, similar to BI, has a body type that's very late blooming. We feel like he's just figuring out exactly what he's going to be capable of, but he does it with a zeal and passion for the game that was significant. And we weren't going to bring in anybody that didn't embrace the game the way that he and Villy do. And we're really just very excited about both players, both in terms of what they bring from a toughness and grit standpoint, but what they bring in terms of their coachability and their selflessness as well.
Hi, David. This is Ollie Cosell with the Bird Rights. Last season, the hope was for the team to be able to hang their hat defensively. Obviously, with Zion and Derek missing a lot of time early, the execution of that vision was practically made impossible. But once the group did find their footing in mid-December and until the pandemic shutdown, Pelicans boast a pretty good defense, top 10. So with the additions of Eric Bledsoe and Steven Adams and hiring Stan Van Gundy, is there a similar expectation?
Yeah, I think we're expecting to make our bones on the defensive side of the ball.
Robotic question.
And I think people, when they look at our team very, very correctly and astutely, will point out that we're not a team necessarily made for pace and space by itself. We're going to have to let our defense generate a great deal of our offense. I think we have the kind of team that, because we have the sort of unselfish ball handlers we have, that with Steven Adams occupying and boxing out, and the guys we have that can fly to the ball and rebound and hit ahead and start our break, I think you'll see us be a lethal transition team. But all of that's going to start from the defensive side of the ball. And I think Coach Van Gundy and his staff are very committed to that. And it's certainly who he's been throughout his career. Now we've given that staff players that are capable of doing it. You know, in fairness to the staff last year, we didn't have a great deal of continuity. And the injury issue that we were dealing with made it almost impossible to practice on the defensive side of the ball. So once we got to the point where we were able to do that, I think you saw we had some upside there. And we feel like we've added quite a bit to the roster in that regard as well.
Great comments by VP David Griffin, man, on the status of the team. He's not running from any questions. He's standing on his, sitting on his stoop while the press fires questions at him. And did you get that last part about offense off defense, getting that defense together? So really good.
That was laughable last year.
Yeah, and you hear what he said about the last year's regime, right? But I mean, but
have any continuity?
No continuity, huh? No continuity. Might have a little bit to do with that Jack Daniels. But anyway, let's move past this. And that's David Griffin's thoughts on it. Let's move into Stan Van Gundy's commentary. And here was Stan.
Well, usually when you have it in the club, it creates all type of continuity.
It does in the club. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on the court. So let's keep this thing moving. Here's Stan Van Gundy as he talk about the upcoming season and what's headed for the Pelicans. SVG.
What adjustment is that going to be for you coaching a team that wants to lean on playing fast more often?
a little bit of an adjustment, Will, but I have said this when I've been broadcasting. I think the pace stats are a little bit deceptive to begin with, because not in all cases, because certainly you had Milwaukee leading the league in defense and running off of it. But a lot of times, if you're hard to score against and you're making the offense, the other team's offense, take more time because you do a good job defensively, the pace of the game slows down, particularly if you're a defense that's good but not based on creating turnovers. The pace will slow down. And so sometimes, I know even preparing for teams, you'll look at teams as what I think is a good running team, and then you look at the pace and fast break points, which are really pretty, I think, poorly defined anyway, and the numbers will be low. So I do think my teams have run better than the numbers will show, but it is different. I haven't had, I really haven't had guys that could attack in transition the way that, say, Eric Bledsoe can. I haven't had guys, I don't think anybody has guys who throw the ball ahead as well and as willingly as Lonzo does. And so we've got some advantages in transition and certainly want to play to that. And that will require some adjustment for me in the way that we play offensively. But I think the biggest thing is to make our transition game as good as it can be. And I just mentioned Milwaukee. We got a guard. I mean, I don't know if you can be 20th defensively and be a lethal transition team. You just don't get enough opportunities to get out and run. And you can push the ball when the other team scores. And we will try to play faster off of those situations than I am used to. But I don't think you're going to, light the world on fire in transition if you're taking the ball out of the net all the time.
Coach, this is Fletcher Mackel from WDSU NBC New Orleans. I have, I guess, kind of two questions here. You said that you were happy to stay away from the managerial side because you believed in Griff, but as somebody who covered games, I guess maybe your level of excitement when Adams and Bledsoe became official, and then more importantly, as far as Zion and his health, are there any limitations going into training camp that you've been told of, or will he be full go to the best of your knowledge, in shape and, 100%?
Yeah, thanks, Fletcher. To your first question, I've always been a big fan of Eric Bledsoe's. I think first and foremost, he has the kind of disposition and mentality that I really like. I mean, he's a tough, hard playing guy who will really compete on the defensive end, and on the offensive end, he's a relentless attacker. I mean, he's somebody who can attack off the dribble. He's a great finisher. Somebody who can really, really get to the paint. And obviously, he's now spent the last couple of years playing on the team, that's had the best record in the NBA. And so he understands what it is to play at that level. So I thought he was a great addition. And to be able to go in the same trade and get Steven Adams, I mean, that to me is an amazing job that Griff pulled off to be able to do that, and then add a couple of first-round picks and some swaps. I mean, you couldn't do a much better job than that. But those two new guys will really help. As far as Zion, no one, not Zion, not our medical staff, has mentioned any limitations going into camp. As far as the conditioning and where it is, it's not just Zion, it's everybody on the team. I won't have any idea on that really until Sunday, when we get into the first day of team practice and start going up and down the floor a little bit. We'll start to get an idea of where we are. I will just say this. I don't think it's going to be the level of conditioning I'm used to seeing on the first day of training camp. And I don't think that's of any fault of the players. I think this virus and what we the players have been allowed to do and not allowed to do is going to have major impact. Normally, as you guys know, you go to that first day of training camp, they've usually been around for 3 or 4 weeks and playing pickup games and getting up and down the week. We couldn't do any of that. And so you just have to know as a coach that you're going to go into it on Sunday and it's not going to be the level of conditioning that you're used to dealing with. And one of our big jobs in training camp over the course of a little over 2 weeks is to bring them as far as we possibly can in that amount of time. And I think for us, that means a real orientation in camp to a lot of 5-on-5 play, a lot less breakdown drilling, working on the parts of things, and a lot more of whole method of getting everybody out there and going at it and playing basketball. I don't think there's a better way to condition than to play. And so we have to play as much as we possibly can and add things as we go.
Hey, Stan, Christian Clark with NOLA.com here. The Steven Adams extension, I mean, he'll be here for the next few years with that thing done. I mean, your power forward and center for years to come are Zion and Steven Adams. What are just your thoughts on, that pairing and how those guys can kind of mesh together, how you envision them playing together?
Well, look, I think, first of all, find me a 4 and 5 together anywhere in the league that's as physical as those two guys. I was, when we made that trade, I said, look, the one thing I know for sure, you may come in here and shoot the ball great. You might find a way to beat us. You're not punking the New Orleans Pelicans ever with those two guys next to each other. So we got 2 really physical guys, 2 really strong guys, 2 elite offensive rebounders. We got guys that are capable of being great screeners. They are both high-level finishers around the basket in a different way. Zion obviously finishes at the rim and over the top of people, top 3 in the league in finishing at the rim. Steven, is a really interesting guy, as you guys know, because you've seen him so much. He's this big, strong guy, and he's got that really soft touch in the lane. He gets the ball in a pocket pass and puts up that little floater. It's pretty interesting to watch. So, on the interior at both ends of the floor and on both boards, we should be very, very good. And then I think they're both very capable passers, and they're going to have to be as interior passers because, we're going to be a little bit different than almost everybody else in the league in that we'll spend a good part of the game playing with 2 guys who are not stretch. Neither one of them are stretch shooters. I like it in this sense, Christian. The thing I like is I like being different than other teams. Okay. I think it takes maybe a little bit longer to develop. It'll take them some time because everybody's sort of used to playing in a different alignment. But I think it's good that when you come play the New Orleans Pelicans, the game's going to be different than the game you play every other night of the week. I think it makes it more of a challenge for people to play us. I think that can turn into an advantage for us.
Stan, Scott Kushner from the Times-Picayune. You mentioned not getting punked there. Griff mentioned the words ferocious competitor a couple times with guys that you've added. How much of the philosophy of this team and what you're building right now is really based on toughness and competitiveness and all this kind of stuff that in a league that's so based on 3-point shooting, it feels like most of the time that you are kind of zigging where others zag. Is that a fair way to put it?
Well, listen, I think that every coach will tell you that they value competitiveness, but it's all a matter of how you prioritize things, right? And I think that what Griff's done in building this roster is he's prioritized that toughness and competitiveness above other things. We all, what you want is toughness, competitiveness, a very high skill level, a lot of shooting, quickness, speed, guys that can guard multiple positions, handlers, passers, they don't come all rolled up in one guy, and your team will take on an identity of its own. And I think all of us here want our identity to be largely about toughness and competitiveness. And I think that certainly the additions of Eric Bledsoe and Steven Adams, add to that. And that's what we hope to be. And with those two guys up front, like I said, physicality is not going to be the problem up front with those two in the game.
Hello, Coach. Chris Sales from SDNA.gr, Chris. I would like to ask you, you have a player that you collaborate with him on 10 years before, JJ Redick. How important for your plan on the New Orleans Pelicans is his presence in the roster? And how excited you are with these young guys like Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and Kara Lewis on your roster? How excited you are to evaluate and to make a step up about their performances?
Well, I think the first part of your question, obviously the only player I come in really knowing and having a great familiarity with is JJ, and certainly his game has changed over the last 8 years that I haven't been coaching him. But I know what his work ethic is. I know what his level of focus is. I know what his competitiveness is. I know who I'm coaching, even as he's gotten older. And certainly, I think, if you look at how the New Orleans Pelicans in this upcoming season are going to build an offense, certainly Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson are your two foundational building blocks. But I think the other two guys offensively who you're really building around, and everybody has a role, but the other two guys you're really building around and running plays for, let's put it this way, is you're building your offense around Eric Bledsoe and JJ Redick and his catch and shoot ability. Now, we're also largely building an offense around Lonzo Ball and his ability in transition to get people the ball and give us a chance to attack, and his ability to shoot the ball on the perimeter. But in the half court, in terms of who you're going to run plays for, it's going to be Brandon, Zion, Eric, and JJ. So I don't think that's going to surprise anybody, in the league, our fan base, our players, or anybody else. So JJ is a huge part of it. He's a guy who draws, besides his ability to make shots, because of that, his being able to draw attention and everything else opens up other people, creates great space on the floor. And he's a guy who's always going to be tuned into what's going on. He's a low mistake guy at both ends of the floor, but particularly defensively. I've always had great appreciation for what JJ brings to the game at the defensive end of the floor. As far as the young guys, I don't know how you could be any more excited than I am. Brandon and Zion, you've got two guys who are, foundational building blocks of a franchise that are really young and have the potential at least to be together and do great things for a long time. And I'm really excited about, going into camp and really learning more about them. Because you start with an outsider's knowledge, even when you get into the film. You're starting with an outsider's knowledge of what you think these guys can do and what you can build for them and everything else. But it's my experience, you don't really know until you get in there and start coaching them. And there's some things that I know they can do based on what I've seen on film, and we want to keep those things, obviously. And then there's some things that you think you can build in for them that might be a little bit different, but you're not going to know that until you get out there and do it. And we're going to have to figure that out as we go. I'd be lying to all of you and to my team if I told you that sitting here right now, or even 5 days into training camp, that I know exactly where we're going to go and what's going to go on. I'm coaching these guys for the first time, and they're young guys. It's you have to understand it's different. If you take over a team and everybody's like JJ Redick, I know exactly the kind of stuff I want to run for JJ Redick, and so would any other coach coming in here because you've seen the guy do it over 14 years in the league. With these younger guys, it's a little bit of a process, but it's also one of the things that really excites me is, trying to find new things, trying to build things into your offense that allows guys to show maybe skills that we haven't seen to this point.
Hey, Coach, it's Andrew from ESPN. You mentioned it a little bit right there, but just what kind of player do you see Lonzo Ball as, especially after his growth last year as a shooter? You guys obviously bringing Bledsoe in to kind of help in the half court with the offense. Where do you kind of see Lonzo being able to grow?
Well, I think Lonzo's got some things that he does at an extremely high level. There's no one in the league that throws the ball ahead to people in transition the way Lonzo does. No one who sees it any better, nobody who's as willing to deliver the ball up the floor as quickly as he does. And so if you're willing to run, if you're willing to be a guy who gets down the floor, you're going to get a lot of chances to attack because of that ability that Lonzo has. Then in the half court, what he did last year, shooting the ball, both the percentage he shot from three at just under 38% and on a high volume gives us great spacing on the floor for our other guys. So he helps in that regard. He's a guy that I want to try to put into some different situations. But I think the thing that we really want to, focus on improvement with him in terms of playing the game is, being a little bit more aggressive on pick and rolls in particular, to turn the corner and go to the basket to score. I think he can be a better finisher, turning the corner on his drives. And I think it's a mindset. He's so such a great passer that I think there's times he's coming off looking to pass, and then what opens up is the basket. And my experience is that it's hard to adjust from the pass to the shot. Whereas if you're thinking score and the help comes, a guy with Lonzo's instincts will see the play. So we just sort of need to turn that around with him. But his passing ability, his ability in transition, and his three-point shooting alone make him a very, very good player. And I think, we've got a lot of guys who are playmakers now. And I think playing multiple playmakers together is a good thing in today's game, particularly the amount of switching you see and everything else. Your ability to break people down off the dribble and make plays is absolutely essential. And I think having more of those guys gives you an advantage.
Hey, Coach, Shamit Dua from Bourbon Street Shots. Zion Williamson and Steven Adams are two of the best offensive rebounders in the league. Obviously, you want to play to your strengths. How do you balance that with getting back in transition for transition defense?
That's a great question, and it's been one of the things that we've talked about as a staff because I have always highly valued transition defense. I just think it's something that if you're willing to focus and make the effort, that it's not really personnel based, that you can be a good defensive transition team. I've never had two guys playing next to each other who were both that good of offensive rebounders. And then we've got guys like Josh Hart and even Lonzo as a point guard who are pretty capable offensive rebounders. And I think one of the things that we have to monitor as the year goes on is as we give guys a little bit more freedom to attack the glass, Are we getting more than we're giving up? I mean, it's a pretty easy, thing to track. And, we have to see how that goes. I do think it's essential that the guys who are not offensive rebounders are back quickly right on the release of the shot. I think our effort in transition is going to be huge no matter what we do on the offensive glass. And then I think understanding what we're trying to accomplish in transition is a big one. And it is something that we will spend a lot of time on daily is our transition defense. So while our offensive rebounding rules may be in flux a little bit, as we go into the season, our philosophy in transition and our, the time we put into it will not be in flux. It's something we will emphasize starting on Sunday. Honestly, that it'll be the very first thing we go on the court and talk about is transition defense, right from our offensive rebounding rules to getting back will be the very first thing we address basketball wise when we start practice on Sunday.
Yeah, hey Stan, Doug Mouton at WWL TV here in the beautiful French Quarter. Griff used, highly competitive often. You did too. Is part of what you hope to get from them is to maybe teach the young core how to play in the fourth quarter and how to finish? Is that a part of bringing in two guys like them?
Well, I think it certainly helps. But, let's be clear. And I think the number one way that veteran players teach other players is by what they do on the court. Our players will see those two guys practice every day, prepare every day, play in games, play in the fourth quarter. There's no better lesson than that. I'm sure those guys will, talk to our other guys, talk to our young guys and help them in that way. I certainly hope they do, but nothing will be as powerful as how they play in those situations. That's how players will really learn. They'll see it and see, Eric Bledsoe pressuring the ball and getting over screens and things like that. And Steven Adams protecting the rim and rebounding the ball. And they'll know that those are the things that lead to winning basketball. Look, those two guys in JJ are the only three guys on our team who, or at least of our core guys in the rotation who've been in the playoffs. So they have to lead the way. There's no question on that.
What's up, Stan? This is Will Guillory from The Athletic again. Just about every time we've talked to you, you've stressed the importance of defense and making a commitment on that end. And I know you've probably watched a ton of film on last year's team. So what specific areas do you feel like you want to see some improvement for that jump to happen this year?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would identify three right off the bat, Will. Number one, we just talked about, we got to get back. We can't be giving up easy buckets in transition. Number two is I'm going to give you four, actually. Number two is we've got to keep the ball out of the paint. I think we've really got to commit ourselves to keeping the ball out of the paint. We gave up 52 points a game in the paint last year. I don't think that you can build a sustainable defense around that. So, we have to be able to take care of that. What sort of goes along with that and helps is we've got to cut our fouls. We gave up almost 25 free throw attempts a game last year too. So if you're giving up 52 in the paint and you're giving up 25 free throw attempts, it gets really, really difficult no matter what else you do and no matter how hard you can. And then the fourth one is we got to be a better defensive rebounding team. So we were a really good offensive rebounding team that got a lot of second chance points and a really poor defensive rebounding team that gave up a lot of second chance points. So if we could do those four things, get back, really commit to keeping the ball out of the paint, cut down on our fouls, and block out and rebound a lot better as a team, I'd be pretty happy.
All right, great. That's going to be it. Thanks a lot, Coach. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks
Thanks,
you.
Will. Thanks, Will.
That's Coach Van Gundy chiming in, man. And a lot of good information was given there by Coach Van Gundy and the rest of the family members. Good talk, man. Good talk. A lot of information has been given. Of course, we like the fact that, not giving up points, man, in the paint. Like we were basically a sieve. We were basically a spaghetti strainer ass defense last year. We couldn't hold anything or allow people for walk up layups. We basically ran back to the other side of the court to try to defend, and ultimately gave up easy walk up layups in some kind of way that was justifiable in El Gentry's mind. But in with the old that wasn't working, out with the old, in with the new, which is Stan Van Gundy. Speaking about defensive principles and the usage of player personnel, and it's very refreshing to hear somebody who actually have a plan. So, with that being said, DC, that was pretty much the entire interview from Stan Van Gundy. We played a large portion of the interview from VP David Griffin. Before that, okay, let's get some analysis on this here, and then we'll bounce into the chat too with the family members. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, family, please place them in the chat. Big ups to the Pelican chat family members are in the stream. Teal, my dog Teal in the building as well. Big ups to you, Christopher McLemore. Much love to you. Good to see you in the chat. KB, Tramal, all the family members, Cap Manny, Brian Pearson. Good to see all of you guys and all the other guys. Supreme Josh, good to see you in the chat as well. Big ups to all of the Pelican family members in the building. DC, let's get in that a little analysis on that. What do you thought about SVG's comments on the team moving forward?
Man, it's a constant love-hate, push and pull relationship with SVG and David Griffin to me, because it's like I hear David Griffin say certain things, and then Stan Van Gundy always comes behind him and kind of like, oh, well, hold up a minute. Wait a minute. We don't know what we got here until we get him in camp. All right?
Don't try to saddle me with no undue pressure now.
Right. I've seen some tape, but I don't exactly know what I'm going to do yet. Now, we know on defense, we're going to play tough. We're going to build a fucking wall. But outside of that, we still trying to figure it out, all right? So, David Griffin,
that's your
you shut the hell up with all of that stuff you saying, because we're not sure yet. But that ain't my Stan Van Gundy impersonation. I can't impersonate him yet. You probably do a better job at that than me. But I like what I'm hearing, man. He sounds like he's being either forthright or trying to be as honest as he can, because I really fail to believe you came out of retirement and you don't have no plan or no idea. But he kind of said he kind of does, but until he can see or things he doesn't know they can do. He's basically being blunt and as honest as I think he can be for a coach, which I like about him. So I'm very curious to see what's this going to turn into. And I noticed the players that he talked about basically running plays for, and that was JJ, Lonzo Ball, Eric Bledsoe, Zion, and Brandon Ingram. So out of all of them, only one guy is probably not going to be a starter, and I would guess that would be JJ. But I'm wondering what that means for. Well, I heard him at least mention NAW, so I'd like to see him get some minutes. Heard some people in the comment section talking about that too. He definitely got some game, and now that he's not with Alvin Gentry, maybe we can get more of those summer league type games out of him than what we were seeing last year when he kept getting 8 and 7-minute spot minutes. I don't think that was helping him a lot, but Alvin Gentry didn't play a lot of the younger players, so we'll see how Stan Van Gundy feels about that. But I don't hear much about Josh Hart. I hear a lot about those other guys. I'm just wondering, after hearing all of this, what Josh Hart's role would be on the team, or what role he's going to be given, because I thought he was a guy that could potentially, before we traded for Eric Bledsoe, and even with Eric Bledsoe, he could potentially be somebody that you possibly had started at the shooting guard at least some games. So it's just interesting. I think it's a lot, man. They got a lot of talent, and Stan Van Gundy sounds like he has it kind of sort of figured out with the starting group, but I think everything with the rotational players, from what I was hearing the coach says, like all of that's up in there. It's like they just about to throw them dudes in there and compete, and whoever competing the best, they're gonna make roles for them. They got a lot of guys with skill sets that I think they could possibly use or need, and they about to let the chips fall where they may. But when you hear David Griffin talking, man, if we have a clear vision and a plan, that sound like Baby Sean Payton over there, bro. And I got one question, man. Can y'all let me know if y'all like me as a human? Because apparently that's a big thing to David Griffin. I don't know, maybe he not human. I don't know, bro. I want to know if y'all like me as a human. Because I don't think I'm an alien, but David Griffin got me wondering, bro, because we got some people you like as humans and some people you don't like as humans.
He does say that a lot, man. That's real weird, man, by the way. DC, you cool, but I don't like you as a human. I mean, what the hell can I do with that? What the Q, bro, I like you, bro, but I like you as a host, bro, but I don't like you as a human. Well, good damn. What the
Not
hell?
a very good human.
Not a very good human. All right, shit.
Yeah, I've been scratching my head trying to figure that one out. The whole Stan Van Gundy interview, bro.
And that's the funny thing, man, about the whole situation, though. You're looking at it, and they're two experienced guys. You're looking at VP David Griffin, and of course the hiring of Stan Van Gundy. Like I said, we wasn't really fans of the idea. It wasn't the worst hiring move. Of course we wanted Mark Jackson or somebody that can relate to a younger team, and of course he is a little younger than Elvin Gentry, but more accomplished in terms of his communication ability. His principles are more balanced. He has more of a mindset toward the defensive side of the ball. You heard Griffin even say it about, and SVG said as well about defense. The defense spurring the offense, and that's something I thought that as a team we should focus on. And those principles go back to the days of Monty Williams when he was trying to build a defense, offense off of defense approach, which it worked in spots. He didn't entirely had all the personnel he needed because he was in a conflict with Dell Demps at the time when he came aboard. Those two guys couldn't stand each other. And it ultimately culminated in the breakup in which he backstabbed Monty Williams. We all know how that goes, but this scenario is a lot different. SVG comes in, he has the full support of the Pelican organization. Whatever they need, they've given him. He just wants to be the coach. He doesn't want to have any responsibility to do with the GM moves, so that's cool. So he could just focus on getting a win. But like I said, Stan Van Gundy is a winner. It's one thing you can't say. He's won everywhere he's won. I anticipate him doing that here. We should have been in the playoffs last year, but we will definitely do that. The signing, getting that max deal out to Brandon Ingram, him signing it today. They also inked Kara Lewis Jr. to his contract. They also added another two-way player there to the brew, and they did add some very tough, hard-nosed players like Wenyen Gabriel, who's really who's fierce, and he does have a lot of tenacity. Steven Adams that's the meaning. You look in the dictionary and look at tenacity and strength. Steven Adams is standing there looking at you. So I mean, they've done a really good job in fortifying a team with guys that won't back down. You heard SVG use the term punked in there. You won't be punking the Pelicans. Well, listen, the reality is I agree with that. This is going to be a tough team. We'll see how they acquiesce to it. They'll have SVG's total attention, DC. So, I mean, with it all being said, his principles and what he's breaking down, doesn't want to give too much of the idea to the Pelican family members to kind of blow their heads up to the point where, you're thinking these astronomical things. But I'm saying the Pelicans are a playoff team. They were this past season. We just couldn't get Gentry. Gentry could not inspire them to be that way. But SVG will take this team over the edge. And it's a lot of turnover. I ain't going to even lie to you. A lot of turnover, but in a positive way. A lot of veteran players, the Bledsoe move, I wanted Hill because of the contract. But in retrospect, you can look at the Bledsoe move as a move where he's a tough point guard who can score the ball. So you won't be pushing him around. Very strong point guard. Zobal, we'll see how they use him as well. So everybody's open their hearts and minds to what the Pelicans can be, and they're gonna be an exciting force, man. Stay healthy, and we keep on moving this thing. DC, we're gonna hit the chat momentarily. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you're 100% right, man. And I took a peek in at the chat, the last two messages, and they hit it right on the head, man. We can go ahead and start with some of the chat stuff. What about Jackson Hayes? And me personally, just looking at the track record of a Stan Van Gundy, I mean, go back and look what he did with Dwight Howard. I remember Dwight Howard came in the league. He wasn't nowhere near the size he is. So I think they might put him on that Dwight Howard plan, man, and beef him up. This might be the season that they were alluding to Jackson Hayes happened last year, which I think would be real weird. You got to play him some because you can't sit him out after you played him his rookie year. But I remember them last year talking about Jackson Hayes initially maybe sitting out that season. He's a guy that is still new to basketball. I don't know if a lot of people realize that. He played football. His father was a football player, NFL tight end, I believe. And he played football for a large portion of his life. And he transitioned over to basketball probably in the 11th or 12th grade. So this guy switched over to basketball, basically played one season at Texas University, and then we got him. So it's a lot of stuff he still needs to learn. So I know Steven Adams is not a guy that's going to play 48 minutes a game. So there's going to be minutes there to be had with our center spot. So it's going to be interesting to see how they fill that out. And if Jackson Hayes is a part of that, that's the major thing. I guess I could take away from that after both of us laying our analysis down and looking in the chat, man. That's a real good question, fam. And I think it may be a developmental. I don't know why I can't talk. It would maybe a developmental year for Jackson Hayes this year, with him getting some minutes. But we didn't sign all those other guys as centers for nothing either. So I think Willie definitely gonna get some minutes. So we might see a three-man rotation with just the center spot, and possibly at a lot of other spots on this team, man. We loaded with talent, man. Just making it all fit and making it all go and getting the right roles and the right minutes down. And I think that's going to be a big portion of those first games in the season. We're going to be figuring all that out because obviously you can't do it all in the training camp. They only got like 2 weeks. We got 2 preseason games. Like it's crazy. So a lot of it's going to be learning on the fly. So I guess Stan Van Gundy does have a point with that.
Yeah, we'll see what shakes with that, man. This will be really interesting to say the least because this Jackson Hayes, like you said, the guy has a lot of potential, man. He really does. We'll be interested to see just how it develops. Now, of course, there are a lot of bigs ahead of him that has a little bit more experience, and of course, there's questions I have, about the development of Jackson Hayes. He has some time, and then of course, NAW. How does he fit in the mixture of players that we have? Because, of course, the Pelicans are going to tend to lean on some of the veterans, I would say, a little bit more so than some of these other guys until they figure out what roles a NAW or Jackson Hayes has. Of course, Hernan Gomez is a guy that can come in and play center position for you, or even if you tend to develop a twin tower look where you have Steven Adams and you want to move, say, Zion Williamson to the 3 or Ingram to the 2 and then have either a Bledsoe or a Ball out there for a big lineup. And let's say you want to throw a twin tower look out there. You want to use Hernan Gomez next to Steven Adams. You can do a lot of different looks and packages, a lot of different roster formations, and with this team, with this mixture of talent that the Pelicans have. So it's very interesting to see just where Jackson Hayes and especially NAW, where he fits in a thing. Being that we have the Josh Harts and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see just how it's only one way we'll know that, DC. We have to be able to kind of wait this thing out and see what route this takes. But definitely a lot of depth, no doubt about it, man, if you look at it. So, I mean, what's interesting about it, man, we're going to keep on moving here and keep on grooving and keep moving it. Let's see what else we got here on the chat. Rest of the family members here in the chat. Let's see. Christopher says, "I want to know what SVG thinks of Jackson Hayes." We just okay. I'll answer that. I think Jackson Hayes.
Yeah,
You
he
answered
showed
that
you
one.
what he think of him.
Yeah.
I think SVG showed you exactly what he think of Jackson Hayes. He didn't say shit about him.
I mean, he don't know. He don't know enough about, and that's what he was saying, that he doesn't know what these guys like Jackson or NAW is still the word still out on these guys. We know NAW what he could be moving forward, but Jackson, I think what Jackson has to pick up some weight. He has to get stronger if he's going to make an impact to the team. That's the first and foremost thing. DC Jackson Hayes has to gain weight, man. He has to get stronger.
He has to get stronger because he can block shots as like a help defender, but man, as soon as them dudes were putting the bodies on him, bro, they was bullying him out the way. I mean, you got a dude that's a true 7-footer, and he can't. What is he average? Maybe like 4 or 5 rebounds a game, if that. And this was what starters minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's you can't have it for your center. So I love what I see from him running the floor. I love what I see from him as a help blocker. I love his energy, his effort, his intensity. He definitely brings all of those things, but he just has to fine tune a lot of his technique. Obviously, get bigger, and I've seen a lot of clips of him actually shooting the basketball. So we all this stretch center stuff. We might actually be in the lab building our stretch center with Jackson Hayes for all we know. I mean, he's athletic enough to be a guy to pump fake and take it to the rim, or have a defense fear him enough blowing by him to actually give him wide open 3-point shot. So if he gets bigger, adds some weight, gets stronger, and develops a shot, now you might be looking at something. I mean, we can't forget what Blake Griffin turned into when he went over there to Detroit, and what he's still been being since he's been over there. I mean, Blake Griffin would be probably a top 15 player that everybody's talking about if he wasn't hurt. Blake Griffin is shooting the 3, doing all type of stuff now that you ain't never seen him do with the Clippers. So, Stan Van Gundy has a history of building big men, man. I mean, he's never had a team where they didn't have exceptional big men that could actually shoot and stretch the floor too. Dwight Howard probably was a prime example of a guy that they had that didn't do that. But I mean, you had Gortat over there with him. Gortat probably wasn't hitting the 3. But, I mean, he could stretch it out 19, 18 feet easy, knock that down all day. So you're definitely going to see something to that effect with Jackson Hayes, if it's possible, because I know they're going to be working on that with him. So we may have that last piece in him, man. He has the potential, but it's all in if they can draw it out of him. And if he gets rid of that entitlement, I think a lot of these big men and what they did, a lot of people forgot when Jackson Hayes blew up in the middle of the season because he didn't get picked to the the rookie team. Yeah, he was all upset because he didn't get picked to the rookie team. Went talking crazy.
Yeah, he wigged out on him.
Right. You can't do that, man. I mean, you weren't entitled to be picked at that spot. I mean, he's putting up some decent numbers, Yeah, you could have put him in there, but you didn't get it. So you work harder and improve. You got holes in your game. He wasn't on the level of a John Morant or a Zion or none of them guys. Like, if you playing at that level and then they don't pick you, I mean, okay, you might have argument. But he wasn't playing on the type of level that had the type of entitlement he had. And I think maybe that entitlement that he had for that rookie team probably transitioned on regular team too. So Pelicans might have saw that, and you've seen us bring in a lot of big men. I don't think it's that they want to give up on Jackson Hayes. I think they want him to earn it.
Yeah, we'll see that as well. Like I said, Jackson Hayes, I think he'll develop into what you need him to be, because we know they have to get him stronger, and there's no doubt about it. He has to get stronger. That's clear cut, and then we can move from there because he's developing and working on the shot like we talked about here, and he'll be a part of the rotation eventually. But the Pelicans add Steven Adams. They're looking at Hernan Gomez as a guy that can come in and fill at the center position. Wenyen Gabriel, who can also play the 5 in the pinch if you need him to. Then, of course, you look at guys like Nico Melli, who's we look at him more of a stretch 4 type of guy, how he fits in the mixture. He got a little hustler in him. So you look at guys like I said, Jackson, who just needs to develop, who gets stronger, in NAW, which is a big question mark for me. We're gonna keep looking at this, man, because the only time will tell, man. And the season's real close, so we don't have a lot of time to start for some of these questions to get answered. All right, let's keep it moving, man. On to the next one here. Loney Lorette says Adams has an average 28 minutes a game. Who can we depend on in the 5 when he's out of the game? Who do you think plays those minutes when Adams sits down? DC, you want to take that one first?
I mean, we just basically alluded to it, but I'm gonna put it like this. I'm gonna make it simple. Adams is gonna be number 1 on the depth chart, and it's obvious to me after what I heard from David Griffin and probably from what Van Gundy is gonna see and his experience already in North Carolina, that Willie. Can you say his last name, Q? I don't want to butcher it.
Hernan Gomez.
Hernan Gomez. I keep trying to call him Hernandez. It should be so much simpler if he was just Hernandez. But Hernan Gomez will definitely be your number 2 guy. Has offensive presence, smooth offensive game, ability to possibly be a stretch.
Yep.
And he can block shots and do his thing in the paint. I mean, he's not obviously a starting caliber center, or he would be starting for somebody. But as a backup with the second unit, I don't think that's a bad guy to have.
No.
And if you have him on the court with a guy like Wayne and Gabriel, you got him out there who's already a tyrant defensively, and you pair up a guy like that with him, it works out. Now, with all these players in the shuffle, I'm wondering what Nicolo Millie.
I know.
You say I be messing his name up too, huh?
You did well on that one, bro. I have no complaints.
All right. I was just making sure. I wonder what Millie fits in the rotation, man. I mean, they've got a lot of guys that's potentially stretches, and he didn't look particularly good on defense. And from the pattern I'm seeing, anybody that had any inkling of some sort of type of kind of problem on defense, they look like they've fallen all the way to the bottom of Van Gundy's rotation. That's what I'm seeing. Other than Drew Holiday, that's probably the only person they got rid of that was good defensively. I guess you could say Kendrick Williams too. But if you're not a great defender, you're not getting no minutes. So whoever plays that number 2 will have to be that. Jackson Hayes still has a chance, I think, to be that backup. But as it goes right now, today, starting with all this craziness, the indecision, and everything going on, I think it's Willie at this moment right now. But we also got to remember, just like we watch the Saints and we see what's happening in the NFL, this is COVID times. So we got all of these players. Don't think the Pelicans aren't prepared to have all of these players so we can still compete in case certain guys got to get out because of the COVID thing. I mean, that's another thing. I might be over-exaggerating Millie. We might be over-exaggerating the thing with Lonzo Ball and Bledsoe and Carolus. Maybe they got a lot of these players because they're anticipating some guys missing 21 days for COVID.
That's well said, because you have to add that into your philosophy as well moving ahead. Just in case you lose guys, you're still going to have to need guys that can come in and hustle and carry the team in the interim until your stars get back if something like that develops. And that's what kind of world we're living in now, where we might lose people to the C-19 situation that's going on in the world. So very wisely said, DC. All right, let's keep it going, family. Let's move on to the next information in chat. DJ's asking about guard Riley Elkins. Of course, the Pelicans signed Elkins, man. They signed him back in on the 20th of November. He was a guy that was basically overseas, a 6'5" guard from Arizona, I believe. He averages about 12 points for his career, shoots about 45% from the field, 36% from the three-point line, 6'5", 225. He was I think he was an undrafted guy that was picked up out of Arizona by Chicago in 2018, 2019. What I like about this guy, about Elkins, who the Pelicans did sign, they look upon him as being a long shot, to make the team. But he does have size. He does have grit. He's a pretty decent defender. He can shoot the ball. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Riley Elkins. So, I mean, a lot of people don't know too much about Riley Elkins, but DJ's keeping an eye on him, and DJ's a real Pelican family member. So, good question on Riley Elkins. I think Riley Elkins, man, is a player, man. He's a player, and if anybody could sneak on a guard heavy team like the Pelicans with his grit, I mean, Riley Elkins might be that dude, but we'll see. He's looked upon as being a real long distance shot to do that, but he's been around, man. He's even played foreignly, man. So he's been around since he's came in the league. So we'll see how it shakes. A lot of long shots here for the Pelicans, but yeah, Riley Elkins. I like Riley Elkins, man.
And shout out to DJ because I told him. I remember, man. I said that the undrafted guys ain't nothing gonna happen with that, DJ. Well, we signed a lot of potential with our undrafted spot. So Riley Elkins obviously is a long shot because they signed Udif. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. I'm messing up everybody's name, but the Russian cat. And then we got Nigel, who I really like as the two-way guy. And I guess we building out some IG League squad at this point, right, BQ? But Elks, I think I vaguely do remember him. And I remember a lot of people saying he did have some game. Nice shooting stroke. Out of Arizona. Arizona produced a lot of good guards. So, he could be somebody to watch out for. So we'll have to see, DJ. Don't be pumping your horn yet, but I know you be ready to get at me about this undrafted free agent people.
DJ B, he hitting you, man. He said give a shout out. What was that DJ said? Tell DC to shout out Bryce Dejon Jones. Remember him? The one he was killed, man, in Dallas. Remember him? He was we were really big on him. He was the one a few years ago, yeah, but he was an undrafted guy we found, man. He had a lot of potential.
Oh, yeah, I do remember him. They broke in his house.
Right.
I remember.
And it was a robbery murder, so yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah, right. I remember him.
All right.
R.I.P. to that brother, man.
Yeah, he was a guy that they was really counting on, man. All right, let's move on. Christopher Mecklemore says, I want to know about SVG. Thanks of Jackson Hayes. We answered that one. John says, how would you feel if you were Jackson Hayes? Pelicans go out and grab Adams. That lets you know you need to get stronger because that's what it is. Adams is what you expect to get as strong in his physical as what Adams is. But imagine with a jump shot with it. I mean, but Hayes has potential, and plus he has time to develop, man. So we'll see how that shakes.
Got all the athletic ability in the world, too, man. Dude got to have about 38, 40-inch vertical, and he's really 7 feet, so that's crazy. If I'm Jackson Hayes, I'm feeling exactly the way I should have felt, to where they wouldn't have had to go get Adams. If you would have been playing pissed off and in the weight room, getting bigger through the whole COVID times, maybe they wouldn't have been so hard up to go after Allen. But, you're a young guy. Obviously, you're not mature enough to step into that role. So that's basically what they're telling him. He should be mad, and he should be vigorously working on his game. Something he should have been doing anyway. So if I'm Jackson Hayes, that's pretty much how I feel. I'm mad, but at the same time, I'm learning that, I have to be a professional. And if he's wise, he would study Steven Adams and see, well, I thought I was going to be the guy, but I'm not. Well, why did they trade for this guy? Study everything about him. What does he do? Why are they playing him over you? And you do everything he does better or at least equally. And I guarantee you, if you do that, you're younger than him. He has more athletic ability. So it'll only be a matter of time before you're outplaying Steven Adams or challenging him for minutes. And both of y'all are good. Well, we got to find minutes for both of them or something like that, So that's how I would feel. They drafted you number 8, man. They paying you. You got 3 more years here. So what you gonna do? Tuck your tail? Or you gonna step up and go hard? So I know that's what I would do. I would be angry. I would be in the weight room. I would be working even harder, knowing that they got another guy, and then watching all that money he got. That's supposed to be my money.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing too. Of course, the 2-year extension was Steven Adams here, and Jackson Hayes. And I agree with everything you said. Jackson Hayes has to play pissed off. He was highly upset that he wasn't picked for that rookie squad. During an All-Star, he was really pissed about that. He went to start going up. Put that chip on your shoulder and play with that intensity and that focus to get better. And you're right. He should have seized the day, an opportunity when the C-19 hit and stopped the season to hit the weight room. What else was you going to do? I mean, hit the weight room, get stronger, come back ferocious and strong. If he had done that, who knows if they would have made it. I still think they would have made it, but still in all, he would have had more minutes than what he had. Now you have other bigs in there, so it's still an opportunity for Steven Adams to come. Jackson Hayes to come around. Let's keep it going in
They
the
probably
chat.
wouldn't have got Willie and Manley.
Things would have changed because those bigs.
It'd have just been him and Adams.
Let's keep it
If he
going.
would have did everything he's supposed to do.
Lonely Lorette says, agree, we can't give up on Hayes, but if he can't play defense, we won't see many minutes. Cap Manny says, Hayes going to flourish as a great bench man. It's going to take some time. John says, what are you looking forward to seeing the most in the preseason games? Well, you got 2 preseason games. Perhaps we see the defense, see what the defense looks like. I won't see what the Pelicans I don't know what you can see, what we can make on the 2 different, just 2 preseason games. But my focus is on defense, and of course they won't see how Zion Williams and Brandon Ingram has played together and stuff like that. So, but my focus will be on defense because I know defense wins championships, and we have to be able to play that. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to see how they develop on the defense and being a means team stopping people at the cup. And also the implementation of Brandon Ingram and Zion Williams together, because when we seen them in the limited time that we seen them in Gentry's system, they were absolutely fantastic working together in the small sample size that we seen of them in the last season. So that's a part of what we're looking for as well. In my case, DC, quickly, what's your thoughts so we can finish out the chat on that?
Quickly. All right. My thing that I would want to see, I guess it would be a combination of things. The defense, I think, I'm already sure that that's going to be better, right? For it to reach its potential, it's going to take time. So I don't really anticipate being able to see that during the preseason because I see your points. I want to see how we're initiating offense. That's the main thing I want to see. Like, who is running the offense? Or is all this going to be up in the air? Like, who's the guy that we're going to trust to get everybody set up? Because to me, last year outside of defense, that was the biggest problem. Once it slowed down in transition and you had to actually execute an offensive game plan, it seemed to me that we didn't really know who the guy was to kind of take the reins and get everybody in position. Or maybe that was Al Gentry's thing. Like, he didn't want it to be a guy. He just wanted to be all loose, floppy, and all over the place, like his coaching style. But I would be really curious to see how that works. I really want to see that, as well as I want to see Zion, man. I want to see if we ain't getting, hopefully we didn't get. They said last time when he lost weight it was Photoshop. So that's the thing now. I want to see how he looks. Not really concerned with him playing a lot of minutes, but we know what he's going to give. I just want to see him healthy. And if anything, I would like to see him playing defense, because that's the one thing that I know last year he obviously was taking plays off. I don't think he's a horrible defender. I think he had some problems with mental lapses being a rookie, understanding things, but I also think he was taking plays off on defense because man had a knee injury, and they told him to take it easy. Offense put butts in the seats. Defense going to win championships. We knew we were going to win the championship last year.
Well, I keep it going, man. In the chat, thank you for that, DC. Big ups to the rest of the family members joining the chat. Obed Israel says we have much better depth at each level. We do. More of a complete team. I like it. He says, wish we would have kept Frank Jackson. He's a Frank Jackson guy. He liked him a lot. All right, thank you there, Obed. No, he was this Frank's going on to OKC, man. Good luck to him.
Frank would have been back in the G League, bro, in the first month of the season.
Yeah, no doubt about it, right? There's no room for him unless injury occurs or whatever. But I don't know. When they drafted Kyra Lewis Jr., that pretty much, in my opinion, and you already had Bledsoe there. And I don't know. And then NAW's there, and they're looking at him as 1 or 2. It's still undetermined. So
they say 1, 2, or 3 for NAW.
Well,
he can play the 3 too.
And that's pretty much what it is, because that he has to be that way as well. He can handle the ball, 2 guards, 1, 2, or 3, and his size, what he's 6'6", and still growing. It's very young. He can put on a little weight there. The guy, and if he learns to do that, he can be a versatile weapon for us, man. really like to see that happen. Scotty says, yeah, John, I was bummed when I saw that he signed with the Suns. Going to miss him. Talking about Etuan Moore. Somebody made mention in the comment section that they think Drew Bledsoe would be missed. I mean, not Drew Bledsoe. Drew Holiday would be missed. Drew Bledsoe. Drew Holiday would be missed in Etuan Moore as well as Frank Jackson. So, you know, we had a Drew Holiday and we got a
man, nobody ain't gonna miss Kenny Hustle.
No, you the one hating on Kenny Hustle. I mean,
what you mean, man?
You know how it go, bro. You know how you was hating on Kenny Hustle, saying that he wouldn't. That he's.
I
spoke up for Darius Miller more than anybody, so they shipped him all.
I was being sarcastic. I was being sarcastic. Speaking of Darius Miller, but I mean, he did have a nice 3-point shot. Wouldn't it have been something if we could have some type of magical way combined both of those players? Man, we would have had a hell of a player, bro. If we could have combined Darius Miller and Kendrick Williams, that 3-point shot with that defense. Man, that's $10 million a year guy right there.
Yep, Pelicans took them all, packaged them, and moved them on to OKC, man. So
they combined them all right.
Yeah, they put them together like Voltron. You had this leg, you had this leg. You control this arm, you get that arm, and I'll farm the head. So I mean, there you go. So big ups to the rest of
OKC ain't get rid of none of them either.
Nah, they don't. I mean, they cheap fillers.
Gonna get minutes over there, bro.
Right, they cheap fillers there, man. They enjoy and get rid of that big contract from Steven Adams, and they're gonna build anew again. They have a new coach there that nobody knows who the hell the guy is, and then of course the focus is gonna be able to develop the team, right?
You give him a new coach, and then you leave the cupboard bare for him. You don't give him shit.
There you go. There you go. We're gonna try
give him
this
some
thing.
peanut butter and jelly with NAW cousin. And Dork.
And then the crazy part about it is they're thinking, you know what? I mean, besides college football, we're the only game in town. They gotta support us. And you know what? They're absolutely right. So really smart and sneaky moves by the OKC Thunder organization. I see what y'all doing up there. But while y'all missing the playoffs, we're gonna be running this thing. So thanks for giving us our spot back.
So bumped up on the draft, man. The dude drafted 3 MVPs and you couldn't keep none of them. They better trade all them picks for blockbuster players. That's all I'm saying.
God did a good job of accruing picks, man. Let's see what he can do. He did get, they got the Shai Gilgeous Alexander over there. They got a few young guys we haven't heard from. Dort and the rest of them up there. Let's see what they can do. This will be a young squad, man. There were a lot of bumps and bruises, no doubt about it. But like I said, they're the only game in down. Alone it says the only player that we wouldn't sell was Shai. Okay. All right, so big ups. James says, all that he Adams, he should be secure in the fact that they haven't moved him after moving so many pieces. Let's see, and let me see if I can get another one in there as well. Obed says he was having a better season than Melly at times, so I feel his frustration. I think Drew's departure is going to be the only damaging parts of those guys. Won't be missed, says Scott Manny. So a poor man's Kevin Garnett. Okay, I see what you're saying. All right. Okay, John says, of the Pelican players who left in offseason other than Drew, who would the Pelicans miss the most? That'll be the last question there. DC, what do you think about that one?
Out of everybody who's gone, who would the Pelicans miss the most? Other than Drew?
That is correct.
Man, that's a tough question, man. I say Alvin Gentry. But now let me
cut it out.
Frank Jackson, to me, I think he had some potential. Frankie Flash, because I mean he showed some flashes, man. I've seen a lot of times him get in the game, and people were excited, man. He just had an intensity and an energy to him, and it would be games you're like, wow, Frank Jackson can ball, and then the other games, Frank, what you doing? He was a guy that get you emotionally invested when he came off the bench, man. I wish him the best. And I think that's the guy that we probably gonna miss the most.
I don't know. I think I would take Darius Miller.
Darius Miller ain't playing like 2 damn years.
That's DC's favorite player. I'm gonna take Darius Miller.
That ain't my favorite player, man.
No, I'm just kidding.
I like. He was knocking down threes.
I like Frank. I like the Frank Jackson call, but I would probably say I would like 2 players. I probably would miss.
Etuan Moore. That's who you gonna miss.
Nah, it was not Etwan Moore. Etwan did get hot and light it up for you, but I would probably say I would put Etwan Moore a little ahead than Frankie Jackson because Frankie did get off, but Etwan Moore hit a lot of crucial shots for the Pelicans when he got hot. He really was something else, and we'll definitely miss Etwan Moore at a degree. That 3-point
I wonder if he go play small forward for the Suns.
Probably not. I think they have better sense than to take a 6'3" or 6'4" shooting guard and play him at small forward against LeBron and against Kevin Durant and everybody else. Elvin Gentry. I mean, it's absolutely insane. So glad that guy's gone. Cap Madden said Moore was garbage. He says a lot of the times. Yeah, he was inconsistent, but he would knock your eyes out.
I know, but he didn't really like spark up the crowd like that to me. I mean, he gets you some buckets though. I know Zion gonna miss him. That was his vet, man. I thought that probably would have brought him another year or two on the team just from him being Zion's vet. I guess not.
Nah, ain't no love on the David Griffin led team. You can you can literally win the teammate of the award and the community award, player of the year award, and still not earn you another opportunity to stay with the team.
He wasn't a nice human.
No, he wasn't a nice human. Drew Holiday was a nice human. He was a reptilian from the third dimension. That's what he was. All right, so big ups to the rest of the Pelican family members in the chat. Much love to y'all, man. Thank y'all for joining us in this edition of the show. DC, as usual, always has some great things to say, and he's continued to talk about this commentary about the VP David Griffin naming humans and saying that he's a good human. You know, he's a good human. That's very weird and suspect talk to me.
Man, I have never heard anybody else in the league or just day-to-day life. I don't hear people refer to that. I just think it's real weird, and it always catches my ears every time he do it, man. He's like, so he's this good and bad human. Huh? Okay. Not good and bad people, not demeanors, not personalities, not good and bad humans. That's definitely a hell of a way to put it.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, man. And like I said, we got a lot of good Pelican. Season about to get ready to get started. We've got pretty much who we have here. The Pelicans ultimately answered a lot of questions. We know with Ingram signing the contract day for the max contract agreement, there are pictures online where you can look at the New Orleans Pelicans website. You can see pictures from Twitter with him inking the deal, signing the paperwork. So he's in the building. Kyra Lewis Jr., the third-round draft pick, the first-round pick, 13 overall for the Pelicans, also signed to his deal as well today. The Pelicans did add that player we talked about. So it's looking pretty good for the Pelicans moving forward, man. And like I said last year, I said the Pelicans should make the playoffs. Of course, we were at the cusp of making the playoffs in the bubble until the outright collapse of the team, the misusage of the roster. Another guy that I really that could have helped us out, but I'm not upset as much as like Jahlil Okafor. Losing what could have been, we had Jahlil Okafor for 2 years, DC. For 2 years, we had Jahlil Okafor.
I forgot about
and Jahlil Okafor was a guy that you seen him in the bubble. He was getting minutes and buckets. He was rejuvenated. He was fighting in Elvin Gentry. Having good games and playing good did not earn you minutes on Elvin Gentry's system. It just you play good, good work. I'll see you in 5 games. I mean, that's what kind of stuff.
No, you had your name was in the bottom of like beer pong cups, and whatever cups he hit the beer pong in, that's how he did his rotation. Q. I just found that out last week.
Oh, that's what that was? That's why he was doing it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I could. That makes plenty of sense right there. That's what I guarantee you on that, man. But listen, beer pong cups. He don't strike me as a beer drinker, bro. He look like he likes something a little.
No, see, he would drink the hard liquor, and then he just chased it with a little bit of that. You know, that was just funny.
That's a serious drinker, there, boy, to do something like that. Really,
the beer ain't gonna do nothing but make him go to the bathroom and piss out the hard liquor. So, you do that at the end of the day, bro.
What's interesting?
You let your hair back, and he let the little bit of hair he had back, and he was doing his game plan, bro. He did the beer pong for the rotation, bro.
And it is like we talk about Okafor. Okafor was a guy They signed him. He was a cheap pickup, but he was one of those guys that excelled. It was almost like one of those moves that, you're going to side regret, like the Christian Wood move. When we had Christian Wood down here, we knew Christian Wood was going to play. He was playing hard. He was shooting the ball. He was blocking shots, dunking on people. You can look at Christian Wood and see he was playing. We had Christian Wood here.
I didn't understand that, bro.
And
I
let
was
Christian
so
Wood
mad
go. I was
during
like,
the
what
summer
the
league
hell?
when we let him go. I was so mad, bro. It's like, what the hell are we doing? And then they I think right after that they turned around and traded for Derek Favors, and they kept Jaleel Okafor, and then we had Jackson Hayes. But still, man, I was just envisioning that Jackson Hayes, Christian Wood, man, everybody in the Pelican Station was all excited. We knew who Christian Wood was. You watched what he did when AD left. Like, I just couldn't wrap my head around. It's a young team. We need all the talent we could get. We're not guaranteed a playoff spot. Like, our roster spot ain't that valuable where you can't roll the dice on a guy like that. You know what I'm saying? But you kept, we had 15 damn guards. You got rid of Christian Wood. That was a hard blow, bro. That was sickening because I knew when he was going to show up. I already knew it.
Yep.
If you'd have just gave him a few dollars, give him like a little 3-year deal, we probably could have signed Christian Wood to a 3 or 4 year deal, probably about $10 million.
I forgot what it is. I think it's 40 something he got from Houston.
He getting 41 right now, but I'm saying if we'd have signed him in the summer league,
You would have definitely got him
we
on a
probably could
steal.
have signed. We could have signed him to 3 years, 4 years, or something, $10 million. He would have signed that quick. He wasn't making nothing.
Yeah, he
But
wasn't.
we outsmarted ourselves, man. We could have had a nice piece, a nice rotational guy to come off the bench. Or he probably would have wound up starting some damn center minutes for what all we was going through last year. So ain't no telling how that would have turned out. But you live and you learn, bro. So
Yeah, that's a couple of like this. You talk about a couple of the people, and I know that Christian Wood move was a minute ago, but
that's an excellent answer. Whoever threw that one out, I almost forgot that, man. That was so depressing. I deleted that out of my memory right after it happened.
yeah, I was upset about that. I think we covered that on the show about why the hell did the Pelicans get rid of Christian Woods? I mean, what the hell was that? You're looking for a talented, big, high energy guy, dunking on people, running up down the court. I mean, he just shined. He stepped out from the rest of it, and that's the type of person. Of course, they didn't want that kind. We don't need that kind of guy. We need a guy to just get down to the field and let a guy turnstile the offense. We got a turnstile defense. You just show up, you just walk right on through the door and lay up the ball. Elvis just start clapping his hands. I mean, it's crazy.
He wasn't a nice human, Big Q.
He wasn't a nice human. That is exactly what happened with him. That is exactly the case. DC, man, listen, bro. Only thing I can tell you, man, is that it's been an absolute pleasure for another fantastic episode of the Pelican Post Game Report.
Oh, most definitely.
And I like to give a shout out to all of the family members in the Pelican chat for you guys for staying up with us late on this fantastic show. Man, listen, Stan Van Gundy and them, the Pelican season is coming closer and close. It starts December the 1st. A season opens up, and of course we have the preseason matchups. Only 2 of them out of 4. We have 2 of the matchups reported on that in the previous stream, and we'll see how it shakes, man. And the big question mark to the season is the C-19 stuff. Of course, we know that the NBA is not going to be doing the bubble situation. They're going to try to operate where teams go back to their arenas and play, and they have bubbles at the facility. So they did a really good job doing it that way just to get the season completed. But moving into this side of it, they wanted to go back to what it was, where everybody play out of their own arenas and buildings and whatnot. So we'll see how that shake, man. And DC, December 2020 is here, fam. It's here.
Yeah, man. 2020 was a crazy year. It's almost over, man. It went so fast. Feel like we spent most of it inside, huh, yo?
Yeah, it did. Like we ain't even get outside. Terrible, bro. And of course, right, like I said, man, we'll see how it all shakes on the back end, man. But listen, I appreciate y'all for chiming in today's Pelican Post Game Report as well. Thank all of you guys, everybody, man, for being here on this show. DC, before we go, I'm gonna give you the remaining message on the floor for you to highlight the family members. what departing message you want to give to the family members on tonight's show about the Pelicans that you want them to know about the Pelicans?
About the Pelicans?
Yes, about the Pelicans and the season moving ahead.
I got a question about something else, Big Q.
I ain't asked you about that.
I'm asking questions.
I'm
asking the Pelicans. What?
I said about the. Oh, I got. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, your floor is yours. Bro.
Yeah.
Floor is yours.
Well, first, I'm gonna throw something out there about the Pelicans, man. I think what we're doing, honestly, in all my years of being a New Orleans basketball fan, because we switched names, so I've never seen as a dramatic turnaround as we have now, and actually having a young team with tremendous talent, where we will be able to contend possibly for championships, man. I mean, the Chris Paul era was the closest we got, and nobody saw that coming. It just kind of something that clicked and happened. Would have been nice if we could have kept him here. That would be amazing if we still had Chris Paul here. If we could have kept him here for his whole career. But with everything we're building now, man, we are truly at the beginning stages of building brick by brick, possible contender, man. And the Pelicans are for real, in my opinion. This roster, we don't know what it's going to be. May need a little fine tuning. It may be everything that they're saying it's going to be. But what I can tell you is it'll be extremely exciting. But one more thing, family, I want to ask y'all a quick question not pertaining to the Pelicans. I want to ask you, in the last 10 years, with all the money that flowed through your bank account, how much money have you made off of it? Some might say a lot. If you say a lot, then keep doing what you're doing. But if you ain't make much, or if you ain't make any, what if I told you that there was a way or a skill you could learn to multiply your money? What you want to know about it? If you do, then text Run the Play to 504-644-7584. That's text Run the Play to 504-644-7584. We'll get with you and let you know the play. You hear me?
We thank you for that, DC. Big ups to the rest of the family members that's on the show, and that's Run the Play with DC. If you want to learn more information about that, feel free to text
504-644-7584.
All right, you got it. Appreciate y'all for joining. This has been another excellent episode of the Pelican Post Game Report. Thank y'all for joining us here. Please hit the like button. Please share the show's link on your social media feeds. Share it with other Pelican family members across the Pelican hemisphere. And we'll be back on our Friday show when we talk more Pelicans with you. I'm Big Q. That's DC. Thank y'all for joining us. Peace. We'll see you later, fam.
Located in Henderson, Nevada, bulksupplements.com supplies over 400 pure nutritional supplements, ingredients to hundreds of thousands of consumers and manufacturers. All of their products are available from grams to metric tons through their online store at bulksupplements.com. Orders received 4 noon Pacific Standard Time shipped the same day. Their FDA registered CGMP manufactured and distributing facility has a staff over 60 full-time employees that take pride in providing excellent customer service and producing quality products for their customers. The wellness of the community is of the utmost importance to Bulk Supplements. It's dedicated to maintaining all health code and government regulation. Each supplement is tested in their in-house laboratory before distribution, ensuring that all products are safe for consumption. For any additional testing, they utilize reputable and vetted US-based independent labs. Customer service is available 7 days a week from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time through live chat, phone, and email. Bulk Supplements products are produced in an FDA-registered and inspected manufacturing facility. So if you want quality supplements at a quality price, Bulk Supplements is the company for you. Bulk Supplements, clean and pure bulk supplements. Check the link in the description section below for more information. Energy Muse is a leading conscious lifestyle brand offering empowering tools in the form of crystals and crystal jewelry to assist you on your spiritual journey. Their main and sole mission is to empower people and help them tap into their own personal magnificence. Each sacred piece is handmade with love and cleansed, energized, and programmed with intention to create a desired outcome. Healing crystals can help you realign and recalibrate your energy through their powerful vibrations. Healing crystals act as a tool to raise your vibration and create lasting change across all areas of your life. They hold a transformational energy that empowers you on your journey no matter what your goal is. Are you ready to find love, a new career? Do you want to have a fulfilling, meaningful, purposeful life? When you are ready to release what does not serve you or enhance a particular area of your life, call upon the high frequencies of healing crystals to help you live the life of your dream. At Energy Muse, they have a massive supply of crystals, jewelries, energy tools, bath and body products to help you become the best you that you can possibly be. So if you're interested in healing crystals and jewelry, check out Energy Muse. The link is in the description section below.
The Kleins family has been getting people to go nuts for old nuts since 1995. As legends have it, a number of the Kleins friends who heard the idea said you can go nuts trying to name a store like that. Any excitement, the Kleins thought their friends said old nuts instead of go nuts and proceeded to throw caution to the wind. Old Nuts has over 2,000 items, bulk and wholesale prices of a whole lot of your favorite fruits, nuts, and confections. A selection of gift baskets for any budget, any occasion, and provides one of the best and impressively rated shopping experiences on the web. Fact is, between their selection, service, speed, or their online presence in the virtual mirror retail experience, they have developed an enviable client base that's comprised of personal and professional customers who count on their remarkable range of gift baskets. Think of gift basket, think about Old Nuts. Check them out, oldnuts.com. Check the link in the description section.
Who that to the Black and Gold family members in the building. Big ups to the family members for supporting the live stream. First and foremost, thank you for all that you've done. I'd like to give a special shout out to all the family members out there that have been responsible for the growth of helping the platform by sharing of the links as well as many other positive things, shopping at the merch shops. But if you really want to take it to the next level, consider joining our Patreon. Patreon.com/the PRO Media Network. Patreon.com/the PRO Media Network, where you can join up and become a monthly contributor. They have several different options to become a Patreon member, from $1 going up. So it depends on your level of commitment, and we really appreciate what you guys are doing as you continue to see the growth and success at the PRO Media Network. If you want to ratchet up your support, please feel free to become a member at the patreon.com/the PRO Media Network, where you will have access to locked content, the TSC Q&A live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Over 20 shows are available right now, and also On Cue with Big Q, where we talk about those real topics and subjects. Are also over 10 shows of those are available. You can get access to locked content and plus visual respect on our scrolling banners from YouTube members to our Patreon champion. So please feel free to join now at patreon.com/the Pro Media Network. Thank you very much.